Aliens attack. Galaxy explorer crash lands on an alien world. Captain Lena Harris was knee-deep in the marsh, the thick, viscous mud sucking at her boots with every step. The air was humid and heavy, the distant sounds of alien creatures adding to the eerie atmosphere. This was a strange planet for sure, and coming here was not by choice. Blaster fire crackled around her as she shouted orders to her crew, their faces smeared with dirt and exhaustion from the days of running and fighting. The Zathrans were closing in, their relentless pursuit driving the humans to the brink. Who were these creatures, and why did they hate us so much? Lena thought. As she ducked behind a large tree, breathing heavily, her mind racing back to how it had all begun. It had started with a dream, a vision of humanity reaching beyond its solar system, exploring the vast, uncharted expanses of the galaxy. The Galaxy Explorer was the culmination of years of research and development, testament to human ingenuity and determination. Earth had united its best minds and resources to create this marvel of technology. The Galaxy Explorer was equipped with advanced plasma cannons, capable of tearing through the hulls of most known ships. Its shields, developed using a revolutionary energy matrix, could absorb and dissipate incredible amounts of energy, making the ship nearly impervious to conventional attacks. On board, the ship boasted state-of-the-art medical facilities, a hydroponic garden for long-term sustenance, and a cutting-edge AI to assist with navigation and operations. As the project neared completion, Lena had been chosen to command the vessel. Her leadership skills, honed in numerous space missions, made her the perfect candidate. She assembled a crew of the best and brightest, scientists, engineers, and soldiers, all driven by the same thirst for discovery. The launch was a historic event, watched by millions across Earth. The Galaxy Explorer soared into the sky, breaking free from the gravitational pull of its homeworld and into the uncharted reaches of space. For months, they journeyed through the infinite galaxy, mapping new star systems, encountering strange phenomena, and marveling at the beauty of the galaxy. They reported back to Earth and held live broadcasts to school children along the way. No one could have foretold the trouble they would get in, or how it would change the lives of every human who existed. While dropping out of faster-than-light travel in a system that seemed promising with several Goldilocks planets orbiting a sun, they encountered an alien race. It seemed that they had ventured into a sector controlled by an alien race, was not impressed that humanity had become spacefaring. Over the horizon, amidst the backdrop of a swirling nebula, that they picked up the Zathran fleet on their scanners. The Zathrans were an ancient race from the distant planet Zathra Prime. Tall and slender, their deep, greenish, scaly skin seemed to hint at a harsh world as their home. Their eyes glowed with an unsettling intensity, and their movements were both graceful and precise. The Zathrans had evolved technologically and culturally for millennia, becoming one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Their society was built on a rigid hierarchy, with each individual trained for a specific role from birth. Commander Zoltar, the leader of the Zathran fleet, was a seasoned warrior, known for his strategic brilliance and unyielding resolve. He had overseen countless campaigns, expanding Zathran influence throughout the galaxy. As the Galaxy Explorer approached, the Zathran ships emerged from the darkness, sleek and ominous, their weapon systems lighting up like malevolent stars. Lena's eyes could not believe what they were seeing. Some type of advanced ships, and they didn't come from Earth. She wasn't going to take any chances as she gave the first order. "Battle stations," she commanded. The crew sprang into action, the ship's internal lighting shifting to a combat-ready red. Wasn't long to see that this first contact was not going to go like in the movies. The alien fleet turned on them quickly and began to fire their weapons. The first barrage hit them hard, rocking the Galaxy Explorer violently. The shields held, but only just. They were past the communication phase in a matter of minutes. "Return fire," Lena ordered. The ship's cannons roared to life, but the Zathran vessels danced around the beams with frightening agility. The battle was a flurry of light and motion, a deadly ballet in the silence of space. The Galaxy Explorer fired and struck its targets, but minimal damage to the alien fleet was the result. After what felt like an eternity, alarms blared. Shields failing, Captain. Tell's voice was strained, fear evident. Divert all power to the engines. Get us out of here. Lena's mind raced. They couldn't win this fight. Their only hope was to escape and regroup. But the Zathrans were relentless. As the Galaxy Explorer tried to flee, final, devastating volleys struck the ship's engines. Captain, we have lost our engines, and our thrusters won't keep us from that planet's gravitational pull. The Galaxy Explorer was pulled closer. As they careened towards the nearest planet, a marshy, green sphere in the middle of chaos. They utilized their remaining thrusters to position the ship for entry into the planet's atmosphere. But Lena knew the weak thrusters would allow for a gentle landing. The ship wasn't designed to land on planets. Brace for impact, Lena shouted, gripping the edge of her console as the Galaxy Explorer plummeted through the atmosphere, crashing into the swampy terrain with a bone-jarring thud. The soft, marshy earth provided some cushion and may have been a factor in the high survival rate of the crew. Lena groaned as she pulled herself from the wreckage of the Galaxy Explorer. The crash had been violent, and the ship was now a twisted ruin, half submerged in the swamp. Around her, the crew was stirring, dazed and injured, but alive. The acrid smell of smoke filled the air, mixing with the earthy scent of the marsh. "Status report," she called out, her voice hoarse from the impact. Patel limped over, clutching a bleeding arm. His face was pale, eyes wide with shock. "We're stranded, Captain. Engines are offline, and we've taken heavy casualties, and the Zathrans are following us down." Lena surveyed the scene. Bodies lay scattered around the wreckage, some unmoving, others groaning in pain. Her heart tightened at the sight of her fallen comrades. They had fought bravely, but the battle had exacted a heavy toll. "All right, we need to move," Lena ordered, her voice steady, despite the chaos. "Scavenge the wreckage for supplies and weapons. We can't stay here. The Zathrans will find us easily if we do." The crew moved quickly, despite their injuries. They pulled medical kits, rations, and weapons from the wreck. Every piece of usable equipment was gathered. The dead were laid to rest with as much dignity as the situation allowed, while the wounded were stabilized as best as they could. "We can't activate the emergency beacon," Lena said, addressing her officers. "The Zathrans will zero in on it instantly. We'll have to survive without it." They retreated into the marsh, the thick mud and dense foliage offering some cover. As they moved deeper, they found a series of natural caves and dense canopies that could provide shelter. "This will have to do," Lena said, surveying their new surrounding. "We need to prepare for attacks. Set up choke points and rig proximity explosives." Under her direction, the crew began to transform their new environment into a defensible position. They sharpened branches into makeshift spears, dug pits with spikes at the bottom, and placed explosives at strategic points. Caves and dense foliage were utilized to create natural barriers and hiding spots, as well as cover any traps they set. Lena watched her crew work, their determination unwavering despite the dire circumstance. They were explorers, scientists, and engineers, but now they were all soldiers, fighting for survival on an alien world. "Stay alert," she instructed them. "The Zathrans will come, but we'll be ready for them. We'll use every advantage this terrain gives us." As night fell, Lena sat by the entrance of one of the caves, her weapon close at hand. The sounds of the marsh filled the air, an eerie symphony of alien life. She knew the battle was far from over, but she had faith in her crew. They had faced the unknown before, and they would face it again. Together, it would survive. The Zathran soldiers, with their sleek, formidable exosuits, moved through the marsh with unnerving precision. Their armor, made from a material unknown to the humans, was nearly impervious to standard ballistic weapons. They communicated through a series of clicks and whistles, their strategy changing fluidly in response to the humans' tactics. First clash on the surface was brutal. The humans, using their knowledge of the terrain, launched a surprise attack from the dense foliage. Blaster fire lit up the night, the sounds of battle echoing through the swamp. The Zathrans, caught off guard, fell in the initial onslaught. Lena and her team grabbed their weapons, sleek energy rifles that felt strange in their hands, but packed a powerful punch. The Zathran response was swift and brutal. The ship in orbit began a bombardment of the surface of the planet. Fortunately for Lena and her crew, they were able to retreat to their caves during the assault. The effects on the landscape were devastating. Large sections of the marsh had been made into small pond. The mud had taken a beating and was reshaped. Lena thought to herself that if they were caught out in the open during a bombardment, they would surely perish. As the days came and went, another battle took place. The humans targeted a supply drop meant for the Zathran troops. They attacked just as the cargo was being unloaded, causing chaos. Explosions rocked the area, and the humans retreated with stolen supplies, their morale boosted by the small victory. Commander Zoltar's frustration grew with each defeat. His troops were highly trained and well-equipped, yet these humans, with their crude tactics and inferior technology, were proving to be a formidable foe. He convened a war council, his officers nervously awaiting his orders. "Increase the patrols," Zoltar ordered, "and send in the Reapers." The Reapers were elite Zathran soldiers, genetically enhanced and equipped with the latest combat technology. They were the best of the best, and their deployment was a sign of how seriously Zoltar was taking the human threat. The marsh became a battlefield. The humans had adapted, scavenging Zathran weapons and learning to use them. They became ghosts in the swamp, striking terror into their pursuers. In another notable engagement, the humans managed to capture a Zathran Reaper alive. Interrogating him was no easy task, but they were able to translate some of his language. They learned valuable information about the enemy's tactics and weaknesses. Armed with this knowledge, they planned a daring raid on a Zathran base. It was one of the final and most intense battles of the Resistance. The humans launched a coordinated assault on a Zathran base built on the edge of the swamp. Lena crouched in the underbrush, her eyes fixed on the Zathran base. The structure was sleek and angular, its dark surface reflecting the dim light filtering through the swamp's dense canopy. She turned to her team, a mix of seasoned soldiers and skilled engineers, each chosen for their expertise and bravery. On her right was Lieutenant Raj Patel, a tactical genius with an uncanny ability to predict enemy movements. Beside him was Dr. Emily Rivers, their lead scientist, whose knowledge of alien technology had already proven invaluable. Sergeant Marcus Cole, a burly Marine with a no-nonsense attitude, stood ready with his heavy blaster. Lastly, there was Maria Chen, an engineer with a knack for hacking and a steady hand under pressure. "All right, team," Lena whispered, her voice barely audible over the ambient sounds of the swamp. "Here's the plan. Patel, Rivers, and I will create a distraction at the main entrance. Cole, you and Chen take the side entrance. We need to get inside and retrieve any intel we can find." Patel nodded, his eyes gleaming with determination. "Let's do this." Team split up, moving silently through the marsh. At the main entrance, Lena and her group used a combination of explosives and blaster fire to draw the Zathran guards' attention. The aliens, caught off guard by the sudden attack, rushed to defend their position. "Now," Lena shouted as the Zathrans emerged, their sleek armor glinting in the dim light. She and Patel opened fire, their stolen Zathran energy rifles humming with power. Dr. Rivers, though less experienced in combat, held her own, her shots precise and controlled. Meanwhile, Cole and Chen slipped into the base through the side entrance. They encountered minimal resistance, quickly disabling the few guards they encountered. Once inside, Chen hacked into the base's security system, opening doors and disabling alarms. "We're in," Cole's voice crackled over the comms, heading to the control room. Lena's group pushed forward, driving the Zathrans back with a relentless assault. They reached the control room just as Cole and Chen were accessing the central computer. "Lock it down," Lena ordered, her eyes scanning the room for any remaining threats. The team moved quickly, securing the area and setting up defenses. Chen's fingers glided over the console, bypassing security protocols with practiced ease. "I'm in," she announced, her voice tense but excited, downloading everything now. As the data transferred, the Zathrans launched a counterattack. Waves of alien soldiers stormed the control room, their energy weapons firing in rapid bursts. The humans fought back fiercely, using the control room's choke points to their advantage. Patel took cover behind a console, picking off Zathran soldiers with deadly accuracy. Cole's heavy blaster roared, its powerful shots tearing through enemy armor. Rivers provided covering fire, her precise aim keeping the aliens at bay. Lena moved with practiced grace, her blaster firing in controlled bursts. "Chen, how much longer?" she shouted over the din of battle. "Almost there," Chen replied, her eyes glued to the screen. Finally, the download completed. "Got it," Chen exclaimed. "Let's move." The team fought their way out, retreating through the side entrance. They detonated charges as they went, collapsing corridors and slowing the Zathran pursuit. By the time they reached the safety of the swamp, base was in chaos. Back at their hideout, they analyzed the data. The haul was beyond their wildest hopes. Detailed schematics for Zathran ships and weapons, and a star map showing countless worlds. "Look at this," Chen said, highlighting several planets on the map. "These are worlds that fought off Zathran invasions." Lena leaned in, studying the names. The Philasians and the Crux. If they could defeat the Zathrans, they might make powerful allies. Bell nodded. "We need to find a way to contact them. If we can unite with other races who have resisted the Zathrans, we might stand a chance." The team shared a moment of grim satisfaction. They had struck a blow against the Zathrans and gained valuable intelligence. It was a small victory, but it gave them hope. "We'll continue to fight," Lena said, her voice resolute, "and we'll give these monsters hell in the process." The Zathrans, for all their superiority, couldn't break them. Every loss they inflicted was repaid tenfold. The humans were a thorn they couldn't remove, a nightmare they couldn't wake from. One day, as Lena led a raid on a Zathran patrol, something changed. As she gazed through her binoculars, the aliens were retreating, their ships lifting off, abandoning the planet. "Look, they're leaving," Patel whispered, disbelief in his voice. Lena watched the ships disappear into the sky. They had done it. They had survived. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Zoltar watched the planet recede into the distance. His defeat was a bitter pill to swallow, but he couldn't justify the continued loss of Zathran lives for such a small gain. The humans had earned his grudging respect. They were a resilient and resourceful species, and Zoltar knew they would pose a significant challenge if they ever reached Zathra Prime. Months later, the humans still lived on the marshy planet, which they named Aridana. They had no way to contact Earth because the Zathrans had destroyed most of the remaining ship. There was no way to leave, but they were alive, and they had each other. While Lena waited for rescue, she gazed out across the landscape of this new planet. She knew any permanent presence here would not last long, as the Zathrans were still out there. The best they could do is provide for each other and build what they could to ease the discomfort of living on an alien world. They had been explorers once, seeking the unknown. Now they were survivors, living proof of human resilience. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. This helps the channel and lets me know what type of stories everyone is searching for. Thank you.